was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with Healing Your Heroes with John and Sam. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we got a special night. We have Team Blue Line coming in. Chad Wallace out of Georgia telling us about an amazing organization. Welcome, Sam. How are you?
Oh, it is another beautiful Wednesday. Hey, did you know it's summertime already? We just skipped over spring.
I know. It's the bipolar Texas weather, you know?
Let me tell you, I don't know what happened out your way the other night, but like we have bushes that got destroyed by the hail, which is still melting, by the way. We still have mounds of solid ice. It is this by far has been the most bizarre weather, I don't know, seasons, I think. And I don't know what's next, but I want to joke that Mom Nature's preparing us for something. Hopefully whatever that is not really bad. Because we're getting thrown every curveball that you can imagine. It's just going to continue this week. So, you know what else is continuing is something that you and I talk about, unfortunately, all too often, and it is our rate of suicide with our first responder community. We are thinking about our Chicago PD family. All of you in Chicago, it really hits home. I think I talked about Chicago PD in a talk that I gave. This goes back years. I think it was like 2019. And they top the charts in terms of departments that suffered the highest rate of suicide back then. Maybe it was 18. And here we are again. And John, you just wrote an article, an amazing article in the Blues Police magazine. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Blues Police magazine. It's online resource. You can go check it out. In that, you talked about the ripple effect. We've talked about the ripple effect and how it relates specifically when somebody completes suicide, dies by suicide. And it's a little eerie to think that, you hear, all right, this department was affected. We had 2 within hours of each other in Florida. We have multiple again in Chicago. We've got to come together as a nation in the midst of all of this political crap. And we really need to learn what it means to be a human again so that we can pay attention to each other. Because this is heartbreaking what is going on.
Well, Sam, when we look at it, and I'm not, when we look at big cities like Chicago and New York, and then even in Florida, not so much Florida because, their governor is kind of giving them, and their mayor is giving them, the police officers, the support they need. It's when when a police officer goes out and tries to do his job, and he's worried about all these different aspects. It's heavy on top of already building trauma that he has. I watched a video the other day from New York. I don't know if you saw it. I posted it on my webpage. I posted it on my Facebook. It was three New York City police officers fighting a criminal.
I'm not sure if it's John freezing or if it's me.
Oh. Are we freezing?
Oh. Is it me again?
No, you're good. So you had these. Did we lose
connection?
Are we there?
Oh, geez.
We're still losing connection. Let me see.
Yeah, no, I'm back. I think it's on my end again. I'm going to try and rectify that. My apologies, everybody.
Okay, looking at the phone we're on.
Okay.
But these three heroic New York City police officers, they were wrestling around with a criminal who had altered plates, and I was thinking they were grappling on the ground with this guy. Not one cop threw a punch. Not one cop was like really using really like forceful defense tactics. And the guy got back in his car. They let him get back in his car, start his car up, and the guy took off. He could have had a gun in the car. He could have injured these officers severely. But I'm thinking about the mental mindset. Those are my dogs. I'm thinking about the mental mindset.
Yes, I know. My dogs are sitting here going, where are those dogs? It's on the computer.
I was thinking about the mental mindset of these officers who were grappling with this criminal, and all I can think was they're thinking about getting indicted. They're thinking about if I punch this guy, try to subdue him, will some DA lock me up? If I put this guy in an armbar, will they say I used excessive force?
Right.
And this progressive left policy with with our police officers is putting them in grave danger. They're second guessing their tactics because they're worried about what a DA is going to do and strip them of their badge and ruin their careers and put them in jail. My heart bleeds for these guys. These were three heroic police officers trying to do their job, and my heart goes to them, man, because they have to bow to this political pressure.
It is. It's tough, and it varies depending on where your PD is.
Right.
I have to give a huge shout out to our own Rowlett Police Department. I believe it was either the Dallas County Sheriff or Rockwall County Sheriff, and we may have even had some Rockwall involvement here. Last week, as I had my last night of spring break out on the hill country of Texas, I get a text that all heck is breaking loose. And basically what had happened, chase started on I-30, came through my neighborhood. The guy crashed through two gates, and the chase ended less than 50 yards from my house.
Wow.
They got him, and it was a drug bust. So over $1 million in meth was seized.
Oh, I saw that on the news.
Yeah, we made the news.
I saw that on the news.
So yes, big, huge, got tons of drugs off the street. So thank you, all of our local PDs, for really, like I said, what happens in New York doesn't happen necessarily in small town Texas, but every city is affected by the policies, the rules that want to be enforced, and then another day they're not enforced. And what that leads to is danger for our police. And this is kind of where our guest tonight, Chad and Team Blue Line, comes in, because whether we have the heartbreaking line of duty deaths, our officers dying by suicide, the horrific injuries that are suffered, we have a group in Team Blue Line that will step forward and will really create a almost a peace. I was reading some of about the families that they've worked with, a piece so that the family can just kind of go on living, especially if there's children involved. And Team Blue Line kind of takes over the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And John, you and Chad have spoken a number of times because he also is part of an LEMC, right?
Right. But, you know, like with me and you vetting different organizations, we make sure that the organizations that we bring on our show, we make sure that the organizations that we promote are fully vetted and that they are doing something for our law enforcement community. And when me and Chad started talking, we started talking about the LEMCs, but when we started talking about his organization and his law enforcement and what his organization does, I was thoroughly impressed because, you know, we both know that there are organizations out there that are just collecting money and not distributing it, or they're taking the money and they're putting it for admin bills. All right, Team Blue Line, 100% is, you know, he is focused. Him and his family, him and his wife are focused on helping others, and I'm going to let him explain the rest. Plus, he has some other. He developed a great thing that I've never seen before with service dogs, which I'm going to have him relate to as well. So whenever you're ready to bring him on, we'll introduce him.
And there he is. Hey, Chad.
Hey,
welcome to Mad Radio.
Hey, guys. Thank y'all for letting me be with y'all tonight. So really excited to be here.
Thank you. Chad, you know, Team Blue Line, I mean, we'd like this to go as nationwide. We want to get your name out there to every organization because you know it and Sam knows it and a lot of other people know it. When we talk about smaller communities of law enforcement, all right, with they're not being, you know, their compensation runs out, they're not being helped. So they're kind of kicked to the curb sometimes depending on their injuries. And this is where Team Blue Line steps in. So give us a little background of your law enforcement.
Absolutely. And I want to laugh real quick. Sam, y'all were talking about bipolar weather, that it skipped spring. Well, let me tell you something. I got gloves on sitting here in Georgia right now. I'm like freezing outside. I'm outside because my kids are getting ready to go to bed and they're running wild inside. So I stepped out here to do it out here. And I'm like, man, I got gloves on. Y'all talking about summer already.
Well, so, we're sending it your way. It'll be there in the next few days, I promise.
Here comes some heat. Here comes some heat.
Well, again, I'm sorry. I always start though. My name's Chad Wallace for all those joining us. I am the founder and executive director of Team Blue Line. I am previous law enforcement with the Fayette County Sheriff's Office, Fayette County, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. We're based in Coweta County in a town called Sonoya, which is also just south of Fayette County in Atlanta. Sonoya is famous for The Walking Dead. So if you've ever watched the television show The Walking Dead, that is like, I mean, you'll be going to lunch and all of a sudden you'll see zombies walking around and you're just like, what? But I mean, it's all over the place. So, you know, that's just where we're located. We are nationwide though. So we are trying to help our blue family everywhere we can. I mean, literally I've helped families from South Georgia to Wisconsin, all the way to Hawaii and, you know, everywhere in between. So, you know, we, in 2015 is kind of when this started coming together. I was training for my first full Ironman. Ironman Maryland was my first Ironman. And in the process, I was fundraising for one of my brother-in-law and sister-in-law's nonprofit while I was doing races. And that's in 2015 when really law enforcement really started to come under attack. That's when we really saw the outward and I mean media push on all the attacks on law enforcement. So I started finishing all my triathlon races with a blue line flag, and it just kind of started building from there as far as some of the thoughts and the ideas, and being led to eventually start a nonprofit, which is something I never would have seen myself doing. But you know, when you get a calling, you got to step up and do it. And I've had people like, "Why are you doing it?" I was like, "Man, why not? I mean, if I don't, who else will?" And if it was my family, I would want someone to be there like I do to help them if something happened to me in the line of duty. So 2016, we became official as a 501c3 nonprofit, and some of it's been like riding a bronc bull, I guess. I'm holding on for dear life, and a lot of times, just as we've continued to grow, and I've had to learn how to run a business better and just continue to grow. When we started off, we were so focused in on families of the fallen, and that's man, that's where we wanted to be. But as I got on it and started to understand the needs better, I started to see what it's like. First of all, I mean, I work in a county south of Atlanta, but we're still a suburb, and we don't have the same support that big agencies have. And then you start to look around and you see all these smaller towns that are having officers get injured, and you're starting to see the workman's comp that is failing them, and you're starting to see them being put out and having to sue workman's comp and take a settlement and then being forgotten about. And you're starting to see all the problems with that. So I started to expand from just families of the fallen to injured officers. And again, as we started to grow, I started to learn myself more about PTS. And even that's become more personal to me, because all of a sudden, 6 months after retirement, I'm starting to have horrible nightmares. I'm starting to have the night terrors. I'm starting to have anxiety. I'm starting to have all this stuff. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I started coping bad and not really understanding what was going on. Thank goodness one of my good friends, he's actually still works at the sheriff's office I came from. He's part of my, the LEMC club, just a great friend. And me and him started talking. He's like, man, you need to get some help. And through that, I came to find out that I was struggling with PTS too. So it continued to open my eyes on what all is going on and how all we can help. So Team Blue Line, as I like to put it, is we cast a big fishing net, but we're really personal. So, I mean, we take everything case by case. So whether it's families of the fallen and or an injured officer in the Barry Faust Scholarship, that's just one of the things we do. Barry Faust was one of my really close friends. He was part of Team Blue Line Racing. He died of cancer, and we wanted to honor him. So we came up with the Barry Faust Scholarship Foundation. It takes care of whether it's from daycare, if you're also having to go back to work and you need someone to watch your kids, all the way up to college, as far as a spouse or an officer that's been injured needing to further their career because they don't have their law enforcement job anymore. So we have the Barry Faust Scholarship Program. We have our service dog program, where we don't do the training, but we partner with service dog programs to provide the service dogs for them. Whether it's
For the families.
Yes, sir. So not only the officers, so if it's an officer going through PTS, we want to get them. But John mentioned this earlier. One of the things we're doing now, and this came from Amy Moden, whose husband was a Colorado State Patrol agent, who was trooper, that was killed in line of duty. And she's become a close friend of mine through this and our nonprofit. And I was just bouncing ideas off her one day. I was like, Amy, you've got several dogs you call service dogs. Is that something Team Blue Line needs to look out? Are we missing a mark there, not being able to provide a service dog for survivors? Because that service dog, I know how it helps officers that have been injured with PTS, but are we missing something, not giving it to families that are survivors? And she's like, Chad, 100%. So through that, man, Amy helped me get focusing on that. And so we've started that. We're giving service dogs to survivors, the families, to help them cope with the PTS, the loss, all the things they've been through when they lost their hero, whether it's the mom, dad that went off to work and never came home, and the husband and wife, and, these kids are left just with their world rocked, the spouse is left. So we're really trying to be on the forefront of that. And we're starting to provide service dogs for our family members / our survivors that are struggling with PTS too. So sorry, I can go off. We get going. I get going.
I want to reverse just a little bit back. I want to get back to where you said, you struggled with, you didn't know you were struggling with post-traumatic stress. And, Sam, I was thinking about this the other day, because I'm still writing the book and I'm still putting chapters together. And, I was looking at some statistics where the state looks and says, hey, only 28% of first responders suffer from post-traumatic stress. I don't believe those numbers, because I'm really, it's people like you, Chad, that don't know. If we spend one day out in the street through the academy and get out onto the street, you know what? You have already been affected by post-traumatic stress because your whole lifestyle has changed. You are now part of that hyper-vigilant state. right? So right there, you have a symptom of post-traumatic stress. Doesn't matter if you saw a trauma or not. It's the job and the pressures of the job that put you into that stressful mindset. So everybody suffers. It's the coping mechanisms that we deal with that make us a little unique and a little different. So when you turn around and you say, after you retired, now you got into your own mind, and where are these things coming from? Those are thoughts and memories, because guess what? You don't have the job anymore. The identity's gone, right? The hypervigilant status that you're in for 12 hours a day is now taking a toll at home, and you're starting to decompress, and now your mind's going, it's going to start opening up those, like Sam always says, you're opening up that file cabinet, and now everything's starting to pop out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
you know, Justin says not a lot of people talk about it. And that's one thing. Chad, you just said that you went to a friend who's still on the job, and you said, what the heck is this? It depending on where you are, depending on how comfortable you are talking about it. I know for me, after 9/11, it's a woman playing in a guy's world, right? And so you've got this macho bravado thing going, like, hey, the president wants to come. Yeah, we're all going to be there. And I'm like, I just want to go home and see my mom, let them know, let my family like see me, not just talk to me on the phone, that I'm really okay. And even though I wasn't okay, I mean, it was a whole, facade that I put up, because there's no Secret Service agent that's been trained at the level that I had that's ever going to have a problem, right? So
right,
when you're not educated on what post-traumatic stress is, you get 30 minutes, and then you never think it's going to happen to you, and then you got all this stuff going on in your head. You've got nobody that you can really rely on. And then, John, your statistic that you pulled up, I don't know where that comes from, but I do know that there's probably not a lot of researchers, maybe more now, that are really asking the questions that need to be asked. And so the studies are not being done the way they need to, because I'm just going to venture a guess. I'm no scientific expert, that it's way higher than 28%. We just don't talk about it.
Well, so they're saying now some of the statistics that we're getting and we're looking at when we're doing all this, if you've been in law enforcement for 5 years or longer, you have PTS. Now, it may not come out in the way it comes out with other people, but if you've been in, and they're saying, now I'd have to go back and look at some of our stuff, but I mean, it's way higher than 28% now. I mean, it's way higher.
But like what Justin just said, not many people are talking about it, right? Now, I don't know how the statistic came about. Maybe they did a survey and they went up to a whole bunch of law enforcement guys and said, hey, do you suffer from PTSD? What's the guy going to say? No, I don't suffer.
No.
So check that box. So, or they're going through statistics of seeing who went through therapy programs or whatever. But the big thing is when the music ends, like when we talk about when the music ends and you're off the job and you get into your own head, right? That's when we see a lot of issues, because we're not taking statistics. We hear about the cops on the job that have taken their life from suicide. We're not hearing many about the cops who are retired, the older cops, the ones that are in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s that are sitting home and battling alone, because guess what? You're not part of that club anymore. You're not part of the law enforcement club anymore. So out of sight, out of mind, you don't have that family anymore. So a lot of our brothers and sisters are suffering in silence, and we don't know about it.
And John, one more statistic with that too. Yeah. It's the officers that have to go out on injury. So they've been injured in the line of duty. They've been ripped out of that brotherhood, not just retired out. They've been ripped out of it, and then they're sitting at home. Those are the PTS that was in the suicide rates too. We're not looking at, but man, they're taken out of that brotherhood. They're pouring themselves now into alcohol, pills, other things, and that's what's leading to that too. We haven't even touched that statistic.
And we also haven't looked at, there hasn't been any study that I know of, what is the trauma that exists in the department when you lose an officer, whether it's line of duty whether it's suicide, whatever it is, it's like, oh no, these are the superhumans over here. They're just used to that. Like nobody
They
has
signed up for
ever
this.
asked. We bring in a CISM team for what happened in Plano, where a whole family, the son off the entire family. Okay, we do a debrief for that, right? But do we actually sit down and do a debrief for the brother or the sister that we just lost, or the brother or sister that we're trying to pull out of a car, or up from underneath a motorcycle that just had a horrific accident? Are we talking about that? Truthfully, no.
We're not. Because like you said, we're superhuman. And that's the way the public is viewed. That's the way our politicians make. We're pawns. We're superhero pawns that are being used throughout their agendas, no matter which agenda it is. And they don't understand the battles and the suffering that's happening within the mind of our first responders, be it police, fire, EMS, or 9/11 telecommunication operators, which are battling silently at most. Those, Sam, we've discussed the 9/11 operators numerous times, how they're not getting the support because sometimes those towns don't even recognize them as law enforcement. They don't recognize them as part of the team in some departments, and they're just thrown out like Ma Bell, and that's not right either.
Well, let's talk about what Chad, what you and Team Blue Line do in terms of really connecting, because this isn't a matter of you get contacted because an officer has been injured, leaves behind a family, and you just write a check, put it in the mail, and sit, with a card or whatever. You go above and beyond, going to that location, wherever it is. I think you said Hawaii. Is that you went all the way out to Hawaii for one of them? But there's the understanding and the connection that you make that I think is absolutely huge. You spend time.
And I take it personally. I mean, like I love what I do, and I'm blessed to be able to what I do. Now it's hard sometimes, but I love what I do. And we don't want to be check cutters. We don't want to just take a check and mail it to someone. We want to partner with whoever it is that we are working with Team Blue Line and let them know that we are there for them, not just for 2 months, not just for 3 months, but as long as they need help. And we have to look at that and work with it differently. But yes, we are very personal in the way we help. And to me, it means a lot to be able to travel and go spend time with people. It was the Kalaloa family and off the Big Island of Hawaii, and Bronson was killed on the Hilo side of Hawaii, left behind Casey and three children. And we got to build a relationship with Casey. And what we found out is that they were in a private Christian school. That was what their dad had wanted. And then they were about to be pulled out. And I was like, no. So we went in and we paid for them to stay in that Christian school to continue their lifestyle. There's nothing, the new term, new normal, there's nothing normal about it, but it's the new way of living. So if we can help with some things that have to continue with the way that their lifestyle was, we want to do that. Another area I think that Team Blue Line does really well is we're good at the post 6 months and beyond. If we read about stuff, an officer gets killed in line of duty, man, where everybody at the first month, man, is pouring out GoFundMe's, is all about things. But in 6 months, most people have forgotten about that incident. And I don't mean this bad, but a lot of times departments have forgotten, because not really as much forgotten, but have to go move on. So these families are feeling left alone, or the officer that's been injured is feeling left alone. And that post 6 months, we're starting to see that new normal. Again, I hate that word, but the new normal. Like, what is their new way of life? And at that point, we can find out what their needs are and really partner with them and go further in their needs on that way. So sometimes it takes up to 6 months for us just building relationships, finding out what they need. And it could be something small during that time, like, hey, Chad, we need some help with our mortgage, or hey, we need some help with a car payment. And, that's what we're just doing. We're building that relationship and that friendship, because that 6 months in, man, I'm sorry, I just see the comments coming in. So Elisa Whiteman just popped up. If y'all see her right there.
Yes.
So, she's like family to me, and I'll get a little emotional. I'll cry here. But Miss Whiteman and her kids are from South Georgia. Her husband Sheldon was killed in a car chase trying to catch up with a stolen vehicle. It was pretty bad car wreck. His shift found him later on, and he left behind Miss Whiteman and 3 boys. And one of those boys is special need and has autism, and in South Georgia. And her world was rocked. This is their hero, their provider. I mean, he took care of everything for this family and loved this family. And I got a chance to go down to Little Wissy, which is in Long County, where this happened in South Georgia, and to meet Miss Whiteman. And I didn't know her yet, and I got a chance to sit down, and we're just talking. And we come to find out that her son's birthday is in 3 days. And Sheldon had been working overtime to buy a Nintendo Switch for them, and he never got to buy it because he was killed before it happened. So man, I rushed down to Walmart and bought one, and we had it wrapped up to give it just to show something to her kids. Like, man, we're here for y'all too. I know y'all were asking for this, and this is important. So then we continue to build a relationship with her, and I mean, I talk with her once or twice a week, just by text or message, and we continue to. Well, then we come to find out that their dream was to start a special education school in South Georgia for kids with special needs, to help kids learn, to help families come in. So man, they're there. So it took a year to get to this, but we just paid for a year's lease for their building. So her special needs school, the Deputy Sheldon Inclusive Academy, is up and running, and they have free rent for a year so she can get it up and get it focused. And they're helping special need kids in South Georgia. And we were able to partner with her to help her do that. And I mean, I see her right there and her name pop up, and just an incredible woman. And then we're going forward with what she's doing.
Well, you know, our heart goes out to you, Lisa, and you know, our prayers are with your family, and anything Mad Radio can do and a badge of honor can do for you. You have friends here in Texas that will help support you in anything you need. And you know, looking at her pop up on this feed right now proves, Chad, you know, the tight relationship you guys do build together. You know, I think, and that's the most important part of having any type of organization or foundation, because like you said, you could just cut a check, you know, hey, here's some money, see you later. But it's the relationship building, and it's being part of the family unit again. You were just here in Texas not too long ago, and when you came on in '99, and you shared a story about a hunting trip for quail that really resonated big time in me. Maybe you want to share it. One of the cops said something to you.
So we're just finding different ways to get so Team Blue Line Racing is out of Team Blue Line. We have around 100 athletes yearly that fundraise for Team Blue Line with racing triathlon, running, cycling, obstacle courses. So they commit to their own races. They fundraise. They raise money for us. Man, the last 2 years they've been around $100,000 just the race team alone each year. It's been incredible seeing what they do. And this past year, we're trying to find ways to connect the fundraisers better with the families. So we took 2 of our injured officers and a few of our fundraisers quail hunting in South Georgia, because we wanted them to see the impact they're having with the officers, and vice versa, just seeing the brotherhood. We took one of the officers, Mike Wasink, from Wisconsin. Mike was a school resource officer in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Was sitting in his office one morning right at the start of school, and a student came in with a grill fork and started stabbing him. In the process of this, getting the gun out, you know, he ended up with an injury to his arm and just a lot of trauma. You know, Mike ended up having to go out on retirement, and you know, the PTS is real with him, and the struggle is real with him, up and down. Talking about an officer that has been ripped out of a brotherhood and placed on the sideline and away from his brothers. So we've done small things for Mike throughout the time, and you know, he was like, Chad, I really need to do something exercise-wise to help fight the demons, which I'm big on. Exercise, working out, doing stuff to help fight it. It helps me, you know, I mean, it's combat. So we bought Mike a bike, and we had the components worked up a bicycle where he can shift and do everything with one hand, because this hand's fused together. So he's able to shift and do everything with one hand and get out. And he was able to do the police unity tour this year. And I mean, it was really neat. So I hadn't heard from Mike in a while, and Mike's a big outdoorsman. So I called him and I was like, just feeling it out, because the last thing you want to do is invite someone to go do something they can't do and kind of crush them. But I started asking questions. Mike, are you able to go hunting and stuff? He's like, yeah. And I explained to him, well, this is what we'd like to do. We'd like to take you to South Texas. We'd like to take you quail hunting, and it'll be with some other injured officers and some fundraisers. And he just started crying, and he's like, Chad, thank you. He goes, I've been in a bad place lately. The case is coming up and the trial's coming up, and I've been in a bad place. So by the time I got Mike down to Texas with me, we flew down. He flew him to Atlanta, and he flew down with me. We went to see Warrior's Heart, which is just outside of San Antonio, another great center. And he's just real quiet. I could just tell really struggling. And the first day hunting, John and Sam, you get this, man, cops are hard on each other. Our brotherhood is good, but man, we wear each other out. And it's not like normal high fives, kidding. It's ruthless and it's ugly sometimes. So man, we've got a bunch of cops and just wearing each other out. If you missed a bird hunting, you were toast. It was bad. So by Saturday, by the third hunt, man, we are just going at it. And all of a sudden you see you see Mike look up and he smiles. He goes, man, have I missed being around cops. And the next day, it was like a totally different guy. Man, he was going off on us and just wearing us out. And I'm pretty sure it's like the old Mike. So like in 2 days, just being back around that fellowship, taking time to get someone out of their house and spend time with him. We saw a guy that was completely shut down to someone that was leading the charge on making fun of everybody and just smiling and being like back to himself. So it was incredible. It means a lot.
Yeah, that's an amazing, we talk about separating from service and the effect that it has from our military and now with our law enforcement. And when you're ripped out of what you love to do, and that's basically everybody that we've talked to that has suffered a career-ending injury. That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because you're in it, then you're injured in the hospital. People are surrounding you, and then the days, the weeks, the months go by. Maybe you'll see somebody here and there, and then all of a sudden you're left dealing with the financial stuff that you thought was covered by your job. And it's this just massive tailspin. Oh my gosh, I can't provide for my family, my kids, my spouse. What do I do? And it has, I don't think there is one guest that John, you and I haven't spoken to about the mental and physical toll, because here you are trying to get better, right? So you're physically trying to get better. Well, what happens when you lump that stress on to a healing body?
Right.
It doesn't work out so well.
You won't heal. You won't
Right.
heal. And even like you just said, paying a car payment or paying the electric bill, for these officers that are trying to heal, right? Now they're getting bills piling up, and they look and they go, Jesus, my car payment's due, or it's 2 months behind. If you just pay that car payment, it's like, ooh, that weight is off my shoulders.
Right, breathing room.
It gives you breathing room. And it's even if it's $300 or $350, you're like, oh, here's a $350 check. But that's $1 million check to somebody who is struggling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's $1 million breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And we've got Hazel, who is saying hi, you're a godsend. Yep. And Jillian, hashtag with the Team Blue Line. Back to the separating from service and doing something that reconnects you with who you used to be, but also giving you the ability to see where you can go. And we call that post-traumatic growth, right? Right. And a lot of, Chad, what I hear that you're doing, not only watching the stories of your athletes, because it's not necessarily the injured officers that are able to compete and do all these things, or the family members, is actual athletes that are raising the money. Having the officers and the families see a segment of the public that is connected by heart, not necessarily by service, that support them 100%. I have to imagine that it just gives a lot of hope and creates possibility.
It does. And so remind me, you see Jillian Barrett right there that hashtag team. I want to come back to something with PTS with her in a minute and what she does. And it's awesome. And a new partnership we got going with them. But you talk about that, the runners doing something bigger than themselves, racing for a reason, gutting themselves out on. A lot of us do full Ironman. So full Ironman's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and 26.2 mile run all in one day. I get that question. All in one day? Yes, all in one day.
Well, if I move from the couch to the recliner and then to the refrigerator, is that like a triathlon?
Is that John, a circuit? That's John.
It's kind of a triathlon, brother. It's kind of there. I mean, but I also, when I'm healthy, I race these, and I'm coming off a knee surgery. I'm getting ready for Ironman Chattanooga in September. But back in 2 years ago now, or a year ago, I did Ironman Florida, and the Whitemans were there, and we brought them down so they could see these athletes that have been fundraising and racing for them. And I'll tell you, one of the most special things happened to me at that race. So I'm dying. I mean, I bonked. I walked 24 out of 26 miles on the marathon. I am getting close to daggum not making the time cutoff. And I get to the tent, which is a mile from the finish line, and I carry my big blue line flag. So during these races, I carry a huge blue line flag. And they're like, we talk, I hug with them, like I had to get to the finish line. I get going and I turn around, and two of Miss Whiteman's boys are running with me towards the finish line. And we got this incredible picture of me, the flag, and her two boys running beside me. And I mean, like, I go back and look at that. So not only we're seeing the athletes pour out for the family, but the family just kind of motivated us even more on that.
That's awesome. And that's support. And that's what we got to keep building, and we got to keep moving on. And we can't let, current narratives in certain states start depressing. We got to get the word out about your organization.
Well, thank you.
Nationwide, to show that there's still support, there's still hope. Like Sam just said, post-traumatic growth. And you know what? The organizations like Team Blue Line are helping many in that growth process.
So through that with PTS, and we talk about, Sam, I love what you just said and the growth through that, and seeing the improvements. So the last few days, I've been at the International Association of Chief Police Conference in Atlanta, and it's the health and wellness. So we set up there to just meet and talk. And one of them, we got stuck right next to, they got stuck next to us. I feel bad for them, but we've ended up with an incredible friendship. And that is Jillian. She just, she hashtagged right there. And she is the director of clinical outreach for First Responders Wellness Service. And they are a center in, I want to make sure I'm saying, I think it's in Huntington Beach, California. And not only do they do like alcohol and detoxing, but they also do for PTS. So if you're just struggling with PTS and you need a place to go to get help, and an intensive inpatient, man, they work with you, and they work with insurance. So they're in network with a lot of people. Man, in 2 days, we had bonded, and now we're working on a partnership. How can we help, one, spread the news about them, because that's an incredible thing they do, and get people to there, that you don't have to just be struggling with this. You can have other issues just with PTS going on and need inpatient. And I just blown away by her.
Sam's already writing down Jillian's
yes,
name.
I'm writing. So
She's
John
already
can
writing
tell.
down Jillian's name.
Real quick, we have Shiloh on who just came on, saying it was an honor to run beside you, and that continues to help support my father's legacy. So thank you, Shiloh, so much. This is impactful. This show, with all of your comments, really hammering home the difference that Team Blue Line makes in all of your lives, and just an honor it is. Chad, I'm patting you on the back virtually, because it is crystal clear the impact that you have on these families. And I wanted to say before, when you said you had that picture, when we talk about post-traumatic growth and building resiliency, man, if that picture of you guys isn't posted everywhere, it should be, because that says it all. when you're having a bad day and you look at that and you remember the impact that you have, you remember the service that you were able to provide. And I guess this is a PSA shout out to everybody who's still in uniform there.
Yeah.
Remember the good times. Remember the times that you made a difference, that you were there for your brother, sister, somebody in the community. That's what you need to hang on to get you through the next bad day, because we are cut from a different cloth, as John would say. Not everybody can do this job. And we really need to remember that we've got to take care of ourselves as well. Thank you, Shiloh.
The more we get in, Shiloh's one of the boys. And I mean, like, again, they're family. I mean, like, they're family to me, and they know that. I mean, like, they need something, they call me. And, you know, we just, it's so personal for everything. And I'll talk about another family real quick, and it's the Flores family out in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Indio area in California. And Diana Flores is the family we kind of poured a lot to at the end of last year. Her husband was killed, was Border Patrol agent that was killed in the line of duty, came upon a wreck, was trying to help out until the local sheriff's office could get there, and was struck and killed by a car. Well, he left behind Diana, who was 2 months pregnant, with I don't remember the exact, I want to say around 18-month-old baby, and then an older child. They were still working on her citizenship. So she was actually in Mexico when this happened. And all of a sudden, your life is torn apart. She doesn't speak English. I don't speak Spanish. I barely speak English. Half the time you hear me some of these words that are coming out of my mouth. But so it's been the most unique situation. So we immediately jumped on this. We have again, Team Blue Line Racing has been so big in everything we do, because we had a Team Blue Line racer in the area that reached out to me and said, hey, you need to check out this family. Her husband is a Border Patrol agent, our racer. So we ended up in that area down there to meet Diana. And then it's just building relationship. And man, it breaks my heart. So she had her baby in November. And I mean, it's just, how do we partner with them? We're having to work on things. We paid off their vehicle. Her husband's vehicle was she needed that truck, and she was spending a lot monthly. So we came in and fundraised hard for it and paid off that truck for them at the end of the year. We're having to continue to help with mortgage right now, because one of the problems is we can't get the house in her name yet, because mortgage was in her husband's name. So I know Towns for Towers has reached out to help them, and they can't help yet because then it's not in their name. So we've been continued to have to stand with her on that. And Jillian's been huge. I was sitting there at the conference, and I was talking to someone about needing to find a counselor in Southern California that speaks Spanish, because I want to get Diana plugged in with that. And Jillian, 30, 40 minutes later, hands me a number and said, call this person, they're Spanish speaking, and they're in her area. And I'm just like, but again, the power of networking and people helping each other. But I mean, there's so many personal stories like Diana, like the Whitemans, I mean, all the families we help become very personal to me. Keegan Merritt was a police officer, and he's one of the guys who went hunting with us in Henry County, Georgia. Him and Taylor Webb responded to a trouble unknown call, and ended up being a standoff for a while. Guy shot Keegan and Taylor. Taylor, as he entered the house, was shot, hit in the hip, went down, managed to get to the garage. Keegan's laying down, cover fire, takes a round. Keegan ended up retiring out, and we gave him a service dog, Garth, it was one of our first dogs we gave to anyone. We got the program going, was Garth. Well, now Keegan works for the state of Georgia in their peer support division. And let me tell you something, Georgia's peer support is doing incredible jobs. And it's part of the GBI and the Georgia State Patrol. Well, now Garth is not only Keegan's service dog, but he's traveling the state of Georgia, responding to all these critical incidents and able to help all these other officers. And I mean, we're seeing the power of us giving, continue to give. And through that, what we have learned, and we've been approached by Keegan, and we've been approached by Ryan Bonaziak, who is the director of public safety in Sturgis, Michigan, about putting a service/therapy dog in actual departments. And I know a lot of departments are starting to do that. So not only it helps with the officers in critical incidents, but it helps with children if they come in for any kind of crimes against children investigations. They have something there to work. Well, man, we want to partner with that too, because if it's helping knock down stress and PTS with officers before they even get going, and we've seen the impact that Keegan and Garth have done, man, we want to jump on that. And I really tell you, Keegan is an incredible guy, and I'll plug him in. But the peer support team for the state of Georgia is doing incredible things around the state.
That is fantastic.
Chad,
Go ahead, John.
You know, and as an LAMC brother, you know, do not hold this against me, but you're going to make me burst into friggin' tears. Because let me tell you something. Me and Sam have spoken to many, many organizations, right? And Jillian, I think, says it best, that you have the passion. You know what? People have passion, but you speak truth. You remember everybody's name, the families, the kids, what had happened. You know, I don't think I've heard from many organizations, any other organization, who is so dedicated into the family aspect of this. I commend you.
The connection.
Brother. The connection. You are speaking such truth that, like I said, me and Sam have spoke to multiple organizations over the years, but for you to rattle off names, for you to rattle off wives and children and instances, man, God, that warms my heart so much that, you know, I'm like ready to lose composure on that.
And the service dogs names, which, by the way, you can go on to teamblueline.org and see and read about it. I have Frodo, my therapy dog. He's right here looking right at me. And so you started talking about Garth and the difference that dogs make. You know, there isn't a workshop that John and I don't do where we've got one of our great partners, Chris Payne from NAMI, with Dale, his dog. Yep. And we have watched the magic that Dale is able to work with the first responders that are in attendance. And it is truly something that, unless you see it like happening right there, it's hard to understand just by talking about the difference that a service dog, a therapy dog, emotional support animal, however, you know, whatever is appropriate for family, first responder, whatever it looks like, it truly, it will take somebody. John, you and I have seen it, that start the workshop like this. Yeah. Dale goes up, sits down, may nuzzle them in the leg. And the next thing you know, we got their complete focus right there. Yeah. They're taking notes. They got one hand on the dog. Yeah.
And they're smiling.
Yeah.
Brings a smile to their face.
So how do you determine, like, if a dog is the right way to go? Does one of the kids just say, "Hey, we were talking about getting a dog"? I don't know. How does that come up?
Man, and that's a great question. I mean, like with them, so personally with us, I mean, me being around service dogs, seeing how it's helped Keegan, seeing how it's helped my good boy, Ray Goggerty, who was actually NYPD officer who responded to the towers on his first week of being on duty. I mean, he's also part of Team Blue Line Racing. So not only has he been fundraising for us, we were able to help him with the service dog. Seeing how it's helped him, seeing it's helped my friend John, who was just outside of Philadelphia, injured line of duty, seeing how his dog has helped him. And I mean, like, so we're seeing all this. All of a sudden, I'm like, I mean, I'm starting to look, crap, do I need one? But how does that look? I'm the director of a nonprofit. How does that look? I mean, if you know, sometimes the pride gets in that way of needing things. You know, we let our pride get in the way of seeking counseling, of admitting we need help, because I almost cussed there, because we're Superman, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, so we don't need that help. Well, through this, Dullabon Dog Services, which is out of Wapakoneta, Ohio, that's one of the services the companies we use to provide service dogs.
You guys got to find counties that have really easy names.
They have names that are not like 17 letters.
like Bill's County or Tom's County, Wapakoneta, and then
Wapakoneta.
Wapakoneta.
So I was there with Jennifer, who's one of the owners, her and her husband, and she looks at me. She goes, "Well, when you're ready for a dog, let me know." And I'm like, "Lady, what's you talking about?" And I mean, it really opened my eyes that people were seeing stuff that I wasn't seeing. So my dog Blue, of course, our motto is "Rep the Blue," so we named him after that. will be here in November. So I'm excited
Oh,
about that.
wow.
So
Very good.
Great.
how does it come out? I don't know. I mean, that's one of those things, like through counseling, through being diagnosed with PTS, like when you realize, hey, I need a service dog, or I think I need one, man, reach out to Team Blue Line, reach out to me. It's on the website. There's ways to connect with me. There's forms to fill out for help. Now we evaluate the situation. We're going to talk to you. We're going to find out, hey, what does this look like? Do you need one? Are you at the point, and then we let you connect with the service dog company we're using for you. I mean, we use Dulabon. We use Tales of Hope down here in close to me in Georgia, here in Peachtree City, and different ones. So we want you to talk with them, and they're going to fill out the situation also and find out if you need it. So, I mean, like, how does that come up? I don't know. That's a personal thing that you, as the individual struggling with PTS, whether you're the survivor family, whether you're the officer, that's something you've got to see if it's going to help you. And, there might not be right for you, because, I mean, it's life-changing, because that dog is part of you until it goes on to doggy heaven. So it's not just like, hey, I need it now and give it away. Oh, no.
No.
First of all, those animals, and this isn't saying it bad, but the service dog, true service dog, is usually around 12 grand. You add mobility to that, and we're talking 15 grand. So, I mean, it is a lifelong investment. And I mean, that's one of the big things when we're fundraising, man. We need people to understand that we are providing these dogs, but they are 12 to 15 grand a pop. And we need the support to continue to help those. Now that we're going different directions with this, more help coming in so we can get out more service dogs.
Well, that is fantastic. Chad, I just put on the bottom of the screen how people can reach out to you. I want to ask you, like in the beginning of the show, I was trying to understand exactly how it worked, because you talk about all these events that you have, right? So you go to events and you're like, where are the events? It's not on the Facebook page. It's not on this. Can you explain specifically? It's like everybody wants to get out and help, right? It's like, hey, where do I get to a Team Blue Line event so that I can help out? It's a little bit different the way it works.
Correct. So we'll take the umbrella. Team Blue Line, 501c3 nonprofit. That's what we are. We're a nonprofit. We're set up to help families of fallen, injured officers, whether it's physically or mentally. Now, we have different pillars of fundraising and help. So we have Team Blue Line Racing. So if you run 5Ks, I don't care how slow or fast you are. If you race triathlons, you run obstacle courses, if you ride century bike rides, whatever you do, and you're active and you want to fundraise for Team Blue Line and join Team Blue Line Racing, reach out to us through our Facebook or our Instagram. And we're big on both of those. And we have an application. You just fill out an application. You commit to $500 to fundraising a year. We don't charge a credit card. If you don't hit it, we're not coming after you. And a lot of people blow the $500 out of the water. So there's Team Blue Line Racing. We need general support. We need people to partner with us monthly, whether it's $10, whether it's $5, or man, if you have the availability to give $1,000 a month, we need people to join us on monthly giving, having that continuous fundraising coming in. We have a very successful direct mail campaign. So like the mailers that go out, you'll get them for elections, different stuff. You'll open up and it's got a long story. We have partnered with a company called Forthright out of Washington, D.C. And man, they have been incredible to us and helped us get to a different level of fundraising. So we have that coming in. We're working on Team Blue Line Outdoors. We did the hunting trip. We're kind of kicking it off, working on taking these injured people, their family survivors, outside, getting them outdoors. So we don't have, getting kind of circling back to your question, we don't have like a Team Blue Line 5K. We might do a virtual one every once in a while, but we don't have actual races you would come to. But if you are athletic, and when I say athletic, I take that lightly because you could see me, I'm not the most athletic, but I do this stuff because it means a lot to me. But if you're active and out there and you want to be a part of Team Blue Line Racing, just reach out to us. If you want to be a monthly supporter, reach out to us. Man, if you know someone, so here's our biggest problem, and I'll throw this in here at the end, is we are a growing nonprofit that people still don't know about. So we have a hard time when we reach out to departments, families, we hear about something. And I mean, let's be honest, we're cops. We don't trust people. So here comes some guy saying, hey, I want to give you money or let me fundraise for you. You're like, what? But, we need help with people that know people that need help to reach out to us. It has to be line of duty, injury, or death related. That's kind of where we set up our boundaries. So, I mean, unfortunately, we've had people reach out to us with like cancer or other stuff, and it's not in our lane. So we pass it along to other nonprofits. We've got partners we work with. I'm going to tell you this, the last 2 days, I've gotten 4 emails, and another organization reached out to me about officers' families when the officer has committed suicide. And I've got to take a look at that because we're not set up yet to handle support for that. But we're getting enough emails, and I understand the reality of it, like y'all do with PTS and what's going on, where I'm going to have to get with my board, and we've got to look at it. I mean, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to say, hey, we're going to open up fundraising for that, but it's something we've got to look at because the problem is growing. Let's go back. The best stat I know was 2019 when you had 127 officers kill in line of duty and over 220 commit suicide. So there's where we're losing the battle.
Chad, let me ask you a question because you bring up a really good point, and me and Sam have had this issue here and throughout the nation. When you say you'll help line of duty, right, and you'll help injured officers, line of duty death and injured officers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now we had an officer here in Texas, right, take his own life due to PTSD, right? We reached out to a few organizations. And because he was not line of duty at that time, at that moment, they couldn't fund it. But the department decided to reclassify it as a line of duty injury, which opened up everything. So now, in an incident like that, if like here, the Capitol police officer who took his own life, now that's considered deemed line of duty. You're not going to get the state benefits, but it's deemed a line of duty death. Was that something that your organization then could open up the books on?
I think it's something we need to take a look at. I mean, like, honestly, again, we're case by case. So
Right.
Sometimes people reach out and like, man, we can't help there. And there's sometimes they reach out and like, hey, we can help. So we're big with kind of like how does it labeled? Was it labeled a line of duty death? Now, if it is, then we feel a lot more comfortable with it. So, I mean, from someone that struggles with PTS, it's hard for me to not want to go deeper with that. But do we start going 200 yards or 200 miles wide?
And it only do what you can do.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. You can only do what you can do.
I think the line of demarcation is, look, we know that we have the retired officers that are dealing with it. We have a lot of suicides that are not reported because they're retired. So who do you report to? But those that are still serving, whether you want to talk to the chief or somebody in their command or somebody in the department, but for them being an officer, none of this would have happened. Okay. And one of the chiefs of police said that to me from an officer that completed suicide. But for this officer doing what he did every day, he would have never thought about putting the gun in his mouth and pulling the trigger.
So we talked about something right there, wanting help or wanting to reach out to the chief, Sam. But how many officers won't do that because they're scared they're going to be put on the
show? No. This is the chief telling me. Yeah, after the officer. This is after the officers already we had the funeral and everything like that. So it's just when you're saying you're examining and you don't want to go out, 200 yards from your main focus. Totally get it. What it looks like is, for John and I and those families, and especially those who, the brothers and sisters who lost a brother and a sister from suicide, it's but for them being the officer. They never suicidal ideation. It never would cross their mind. And so if that helps you at all, I mean, we are the last people that want to say you're going to be inundated, because I hope nobody reaches out. Right. I mean, it's to think about this. It's like, we don't want this statistic to keep going up and up and up. We don't want you to keep having to fundraise for those that complete suicide. But for the job, however, it never would have crossed their mind.
So we get into, I'm sorry, man, this is awesome. We are all over the place and it's great just talking about different things. But I mean, again, the connections I made this week at the conference, and another new friend, Felicia, works for a company too that works on PTS and like getting away and in therapy. They offer a 2-week session for someone that's still on the job and struggling but doesn't want to talk here but can reach out and go away for 2 weeks intensive. Man, that's incredible. There are so many more companies and things coming together to help law enforcement with PTS, which that is exciting to me because, man, we are, again, we said it and we know we're losing the blue battle, but to see peer support teams popping up everywhere, to see organizations like Jillian's and then Felicia's that are willing to do intensive for just PTSD and get you in and get the help. And I mean, like, these are huge. And we just, I don't know, I don't want to step on toes, but getting departments to work with them instead of putting them on the side is going to be big too.
Right. Yeah, it's a dance, if you will, that we have not mastered that we need to.
But a big thing you said, and you said pop. Their peer support groups are popping up all over the place. Okay, I'm not a fan of that term because the pop up, not peer support, pop up, because some departments, not all, some departments use the peer support groups as smoke and mirror to say they have one. Okay, I personally want to see a national,
or they have a professional.
Right, or have somebody personally on board. I would like to see a national standard, either a basic national standard for qualifications for peer support groups within the departments, because for me to just turn around and go, all right, you're going to be the peer support guy, you talk to him, not good enough.
You need
we want across the board basic training, elaborate, just basic training. And everybody's on the same page. And if a department has the money to go further, great. But if a department doesn't have that money, let's give them at least the basics to get a solid peer support group together. Because we've seen a lot of peer support groups collapse. We've seen a lot of peer support groups where they're not being utilized correctly. You know, as they're speaking to an officer, hey, there's a robbery in progress. Peer support's got to get pulled because of manpower. Not the way to go.
I mean, and kudos to Georgia for having it even in legislation, to have it through the GBI, to have it through State Patrol, where it is its own division that responds to all critical incidents. And that's just not law enforcement. I mean, that's all first responders to that. So Georgia, again, I mean, I'm proud of my state, but they're doing things.
It's a model. What has to happen, I think, is the states need to really look at other states that are doing it and use the models that are working. We've got Georgia. We've got those in Florida. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, is a national organization that is starting to roll out training that looks the same. It's not like this state's getting one type of training, this state's getting another type of peer support training. All of those first responders that want to be trained as peer supporters are getting the same training. So, you know, if you're in Alaska and you're part of NAMI's ops, it's the same training as North Texas NAMI's ops. And we're going to be having them on the show to talk about their peer support program, which I think officially launches live in 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. I got an email from Todd. So we've got models out there. Again, we got to perfect the dance, because what exists in a lot of law enforcement communities is the ego, right? You want to claim that you created this, or as the chief, I'm doing it this way. Instead of redoing things and reinventing the wheel, there are so many good programs out there for peer support. Just put the ego in the closet, do your research, and you will find what you need for your men and women, because they deserve it, number one. And anybody that has direct contact with the chief, hey, chief, you want a great performing department, right? You don't want to be known as the ones in the basement. What chief is going to be like, I want to be in the basement?
Yeah.
No, we've talked to enough chiefs. They never want to be in the basement. You got to do what's right for your guys, for your men and women. And it does come with that, the wall coming down, being open and honest about what post-traumatic stress is, how it can occur on the job, what it looks like. And oh, by the way, if you've got this going on, go talk to those people. It really isn't that hard. And of course they need to know that there aren't going to be any repercussions, but we could, this could be a 5-hour show. This could be a 5-hour show.
Yeah, we do have to wrap it up. So, Chad, and I know you're freezing. I watched your whole background turn black now.
I see one light. Darker. Yes, one light in a tree.
Yeah, so I'm sure the degrees are getting colder.
Street light behind me. So,
once again, Chad, as Sam said at the end, we want to any final thoughts, and just highlight your organization, and the floor is yours.
Thank y'all again. I mean, from John, I laugh because you're right. We're supposed to be big bad LEMC, no emotions. Man, I cried 3 times in here just seeing some of the comments and knowing. I mean, this is, I admit it. I'm the national VP of one. I'm out here admitting I cry. Is that good or bad? But
that's good.
I care about what I do, and if Team Blue Line can be of help to anyone watching this, man, I want them to reach out. If it's something we've not done before, we're going to take a look at it. I mean, like we want to be different like that. I don't even know what all to say besides just thank you for giving me a chance to share what we do. Thank y'all for what y'all do and just kind of partnering with us, man. And I mean, anytime, I know y'all do a lot. If you ever need a guest speaker, if you ever need someone to come out and be a part of y'all, man, just let me know. I mean, like I am big on this. I'm big on networking, and I believe that we have to all work together for the greater good. And we'll run into nonprofits that don't want to be team players because they're scared they're going to lose money. Man, if I lose money and you're getting it and helping someone else, I'm awesome with that. I mean, like, I don't care if my name is out there. I just want the officers to be helped. I want the survivors to be helped. So I believe in this power of networking. I believe, in the Wounded Blue, another incredible organization I met this week, and what they do. And I believe in just so many, the Spirit of Blue, which is based out of Portland, Oregon, just a great partner nonprofit. So, I want to grow together with people, and let's help. So any way I can help y'all in return, just thank y'all for giving me a chance to share what we do.
Well, thank you. And I hope a badge of honor, our team, me, Sam, John, and Jeff, can come out to meet some of your officers and meet some of your teams out there and meet some of the families one day. And, this way we can network. And when we get to the East Coast, we'd love to be a part of Team Blue. So once again,
we might even walk on a mile or so on a Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Team Blue Line Honor Run. So that's something we do on Wednesdays is usually a day, but people do it on different things. So on that Wednesday of a week, Tuesday, Thursday, depending on your schedule, our people, our athletes get out and run a 1 to, some people run up to 13 miles, but honoring the officers that have been killed in line of duty the week before. So you'll see us hashtag Team Blue Line Honor Run, or years talk about it. It's just way, again, of getting out, walking, riding a bike, just doing something to honor our heroes that gave all in the line of duty the week before.
Well, that is awesome. And thank you, everybody, for all of your comments. Really, it hammers home how much that connection that Chad and his team at Team Blue Line has with you, and truly the difference that he and the organization is making. We thank you so much.
Yes.
Chad, for sure, we will be in touch. Thank you again so much for joining us tonight. And hey, when Blue comes on, we'll have you back on.
Yeah.
And to see what you're doing, so we can meet him as well.
Thank you, guys, and thank y'all, and appreciate the friendship.
Thank you, Chad.
We'll be in touch.
Have a great day.
Have a good night.
Take care. Just amazing. Just an amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you again, Jillian. I'm looking at Jillian, Elisa, Hazel, Shiloh, everybody that joined us tonight. That really it takes a village, and we're just so appreciative of you guys sharing the personal comments out here with everybody. You be blessed as well, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Huge opportunity, guys. If you're watching this and you recognize that there is assistance needed, again, teamblueline.org. Don't be shy. The hardest thing that we have that kind of makes us pause is what Chad said. It's our pride. And we got to put that aside, and it's okay to ask for help. It really is. So, we have got so much coming up, John, and it is not about a badge of honor. It is not about it's not about us, singular. It's about the community that we're creating that wants to help our first responders. And so this Friday, we have a golf tournament coming up right here in my backyard at Firewheel Golf Park in Garland. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, big shout out to Sheena Sharapata and Planet Ford 635 for putting this together, along with Texas Day Brazil and Black Rifle Coffee and a host of others. We have 45 committed teams for the day. There's going to be raffles. There's going to be lunch served by Texas Day Brazil. And this is all because we're building the first ever in the globally first ever Heroes Bridge Memorial Park. It's a 22-acre park. It'll be in Rowlett. If you go on to Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation, you can see a 3D rendition, and it takes you through a tour of the park. This will be for the families of those lost in the line of duty due to suicide. So many times, the families are left out of the May Police Memorial Week. Those families are left out. We don't want to leave those families out. So Heroes Bridge Memorial Foundation is building a park for these families, our veterans and our first responders who died due to suicide. Hopefully we'll raise a lot more funds in the next next year, and we're looking for completion of the park in the end of 2024. So
that's
go to Heroes Bridge.
This Friday. That's this Friday. So visit the website. And get some more. Actually, where can they go for more information about the golf tournament? Because it's not on the website.
It's not on the website.
No.
You for more information, you can go to and I'll post it. Go to Mad Radio. I will post the flyer up. I think there's still maybe 2 or 3 spots open. So if you do have a foursome and you want to come down, we will take late entries. So I will post that up on the Mad Radio page.
All right. And I will say that the first place teams, you have got a very, very special first place prize coming your way. We're going to keep that a secret. It is absolutely incredible what's been created. So we'll just leave it at that. So again, there's a couple spaces left for Friday. So Mad Radio John, you can go on to our Facebook page. John will post the information there. The following Saturday, which is March 26th, a Badge of Honor is putting on our very first responder family wellness and resiliency workshop. This is a workshop that is free to first responder families, active and retired. And so you can visit, I'll put our banner up here. You can visit abadgeofhonor.com. We've got a calendar that is now set up. You'll see a tab across the top. It says events. Click on that. It'll take you to the calendar. Click on the event and please register. I know that people, Eventbrite, I don't want to register, I'll just show up. We need you to register. Why? Because Panera Bread Company, they are incredible. They are sponsoring all the goodies and coffee and everything. So we need to be able to give them numbers. So please go ahead and register. Thank you to those folks who have signed up already. You want to get on there and you want to sign up because space is limited at this workshop. So again, visit abadgeofhonor.com, click on events, and you will see that workshop. On the 22nd, we have Walk the Bridge. We are out at the Heroes Memorial Bridge on the Rockwall side, walking towards Rowlett. So again, we meet at the Rockwall side of Heroes Memorial Bridge. That's the 22nd of every month. So you can just put a continuous reminder to come out.
Open to everybody, family and pet friendly. Children can walk. Everybody can walk. 6 p.m.
Yeah. And, we'd be remiss without mentioning one of our biggest partners this year, Carry the Load. We are, Badge of Honor is a nonprofit partner. Carry the Load is a national organization. All of the funds raised get divvied out to organizations that benefit veterans, law enforcement, and first responders. So Carry the Load has got us all covered. And it's such a blessing to have applied this year and to actually have been chosen. Visit carrytheload.com. Look for our team, A Badge of Honor. You can join our team and fundraise as part of our team, or you can through our team. No matter how you decide to do it, it all goes into one giant steaming pot of love. And like I said, and it's divvied out to the organizations, to the nonprofit partners that are just doing amazing, amazing work for our military, our veterans, our first responders, our law enforcement. They are there. It is the 11th year. And I have been participating with them since 2015. So, check us out there. Again, carrytheload.org, and it's Team A Badge of Honor. Are you on Amazon, John? Do you do shopping by Amazon? Yes, you do.
No.
If Tara was there, she'd say yes.
Tara shopped on Amazon.
Okay. So you can also support A Badge of Honor directly by using Amazon Smile. Amazon picked us up as a nonprofit partner as well. It's super easy. It's already connected to your Amazon account. So instead of just clicking on your app on your phone, just take the 1 second and go to smile.amazon.com. It automatically connects to your account, works the same way, and you will see when you check out that a small percentage of what you purchase will come to A Badge of Honor, because like Chad said, it just takes a village. Right. So we need to, again, as I started the show, just think about the humanness that needs to be brought back to our entire nation, because we need each other. We need each other to survive. We've got enough divisiveness. We've got enough people dying. We've got enough first responders suffering. Let's heal it together. Okay. So to all of our first responders out there, thank you for holding the line here at home. If you need anything, remember, you must take care of yourself. Reach out to us. We are here. To our veterans, thank you for what you did so that we can continue to fly that flag of freedom, and we get to do this show every single month. And to all of our active duty that are overseas protecting our home front, we're praying for you. Thank you for what you do. John, take us home.
All right, man. Once again, thoughts and prayers to our brothers and sisters over in the Chicago Police Department who lost one of their own. Thoughts and prayers going to the Texas firefighter who is battling tonight due to self-inflicted injuries, due to post-traumatic stress, and to all those others that are battling. Transparency and proper healing is your best bet. We are here. There are many organizations out there to help. And if you need help finding one, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to direct you into a vetted place near you, whatever state you're in. We will find one for you. So make that phone call because you are not alone. And once again, if you could be anything in this world, just be kind.
We'll see you next time. April
night,
6th is our next show, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, Sam.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Bye.